Hello, little one. Good morning. How are you feeling? A bit groggy, confused. That's normal. Shh, 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 shh. There's no need to ask all sorts of questions, not yet. Don't worry, you're safe. Do you remember me? No. Well, that's to be expected. Do you know who you are? You do. Good. Well, I suppose I have quite a bit of explaining to do. And you're full of questions, I'm sure. Well, allow me to introduce myself. I'm your mother. No, not your birth mother. I'm your vampiric mother. Yes, as in vampire. You're going to think I'm crazy, and I promise you I'm not. But I turned you, last night, into a vampire. Per your request, of course. I'm all about consent. You don't remember, though. As expected. You see, you're currently in transition. You're not quite on the other side yet, but you're on your way. Not to worry. I'll be walking you through every step and filling you in on what it's like to be a vampire and what you can expect. It's normal to feel scared, nervous, excited. And it's most definitely normal to not remember anything. You see, when you transition, you're essentially dying. So you forget everything about who you were in your human life. But there's no need to fret. As you go through the stages of vampirism, and you become a more seasoned vampire as you live your life, your new undead life, you'll get small little glimpses of your past life that'll come to you, like little snowflakes of memory. It's quite fun, actually. It's like a bit of a puzzle or mystery. You'll get little glimpses of your past life, who you were, what you did, where you came from. But that will come in time. As of now, there's quite a bit of important things you need to know and what to expect. Right. Well, let me first start off by taking a look at you here. It's most definitely already begun. Your complexion has already started to change. Yes, you are looking quite different. You might not recognize yourself, although it might be a good thing that you can't quite remember your past life. It'll allow you to start fresh. Well, what's changed? You see, being a vampire, you're dead. You're undead. So our bodies don't pump blood anymore. We don't need to. So therefore, lack of blood flow equals a paler complexion. And it's already begun with you. Luckily, there are some solutions, which I'll be getting into. And aside from the pale complexion, you might expect some under-eye bags, bloodshot eyes, maybe more prominent veins. It's nothing a little bit of makeup can't fix. Speaking of makeup, it leads me into my next topic of discussion. Now, being a vampire may be cool and fun and whatever, but it's very secret. We cannot have the general public knowing that we exist. So we have to hide a lot. Luckily though, we have modern cosmetics. This is just a bit of bronzer. It's going to help to restore some of the pigment to your skin and make you look a little bit more human. I'll put some on you now. Another thing you might notice, you're going to smell a bit different. Well, it's not necessarily that you're going to smell bad, you're just going to smell dead. Well, a general sense of decay. It's not pungent, but it's definitely noticeable. And it's definitely something you're going to want to cover. It's a dead giveaway for us. Like I said, it's not overwhelming or outright putrid, which is ironic considering that it's the smell of decay. But because we're undead and not fully dead and composing, or decomposing I should say, we're not fully stinky. I hope I'm making sense. There. Looking much more human already. Now, on the topic of scent. As I had mentioned, you're going to be a little smelly. This is the only thing that I have personally found that is strong enough to hide that smell. It's called lavender lace. It's an essential oil. It's nothing fancy, I found it at this holistic shop, but it really does the trick. And I just open it up and put a little bit on the back of my neck and a little on my wrists and a little on my chest as well. And it just helps me smell daisy fresh. They would never know a thing. So, I can smell you from a mile away. Let's get some of this on you as well. I know it's quite a lot to take in at the moment, but I promise it won't take much to get used to. Which sounds strange, I know, but it's surprisingly a lot easier than people would think, if people knew they existed. Oh, you're right, that's actually a very good point. My teeth. So, that leads me into my next topic of conversation. Television, film, movies, cultural literature. They've definitely pushed a couple of misnomers about our kind that are just simply untrue. You see, contrary to popular law, we're actually not allergic to the sun. We don't have an aversion to sunlight. We can walk amongst the sunlight like anybody else. Now, we are light sensitive though. Think of it like a really bad hangover when you're really sensitive to the light. But it's bearable, just annoying. But yes, you can go out into the sun and you're not going to burst into flames. Thankfully. Which really helps our cover. Another thing, thankfully, are teeth. As you can see, I've got normal canine teeth. Nothing crazy. Another popular misnomer. Thanks, Hollywood. Vampires don't have pointy teeth. I mean, yeah, some of us maybe, but it's because we had pointy teeth when we were human. But no, we don't have pointy teeth. And we don't bite people either. Speaking of biting people, sadly, the one thing that vampiric law has correct is that we do indeed need human blood to survive. Something that I'm not particularly proud to say, but it is very true. Speaking of human blood, as you're transitioning, you're probably feeling quite starved. Sad to say, but a slice of pizza won't do any longer. You're gonna need the real stuff. And luckily I have some. Now, I'm going to tell you how I source my nutrients. And personally, I choose to do it this way because it helps me get to bed at night. I have a heart at all, after all. So, before I do, I was able to pour a little bit here for you. It's imperative for you to take your first sip while you're in this crucial stage of your transition. If you don't feed now, your body could reject the transition and you could legitimately die. So, I promise it won't taste bad. Take a sip. It's like fruit punch, isn't it? Go ahead, you can have some more. Okay, take it easy. I don't want you gulping down too much. Now, one thing I must caution you. Although it is necessary for us to drink human blood to survive, it is encouraged to try to remain as ethical as possible. That leads me to how I source my nutrients. You see, ironically enough, I work as a trauma nurse in the ER. And I like to just draw a few extra packs of blood from my patients. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that unethical? You're taking blood from a living person without their consent. Technically, yes, it is unethical, especially from a medical standpoint. However, from a survival standpoint, it's the lesser of evils. And I'm not just drawing blood out of random patients. I mean, these are people that I'm actively drawing blood for tests and whatnot. I just take a few extra vials or tubes, what have you. Look, it's the easiest way that I've found to survive without hurting people, legitimately. But I also consume a very limited diet because of my ethical sourcing of my food. It's very hard to come by, and I can't eat or drink as much as I probably should. But I look at it in the positive light. It helps me to stay trim and fit. I don't want to gorge too much. I'm trying to watch myself here. So, in the meanwhile, until you can learn to fend for yourself, I will share my supply with you. It'll be a little rough for the both of us, but I think we'll get through it. Let me think. What else do I need to tell you? Do you have any questions for me? What a stupid question. You probably have hundreds. Go on. Do we live forever? Actually, no. We don't live forever, sadly. It's another misnomer. So, honestly, vampirism is more of a disease, really. It creates this incessant need for human blood to be able to function, but it doesn't come with the mystical powers that people think that it does. You don't have superhuman strength. You most definitely don't live forever. Although you do live a bit longer than the average person, I will say. Don't quite know why that is. As you can imagine, there's not many scientific studies on vampirism, considering that people don't believe in it, and we would rather it be that way. But what else can I tell you? You cannot sire people. That's another made-up thing. I know. Boring, right? What I will say, though, there is this charm that comes over you that somehow people find intoxicating when you become a vampire. And although we don't have the power of persuasion in the way that vampire folklore tends to make people believe, we do have a bit of je ne sais quoi to us. I don't know, maybe it's an attractive quality that people find in the undead. Who knows? But I have found that I do get a bit more attention ever since I've become a vampire. Maybe because people think I'm weird. I was weird before I became a vampire. Oh well. Let me tell you a little bit more about how we got here. So obviously you don't remember, which is normal, but you were my familiar for quite some time, which basically means that you were a very small, among one of a very small percentage of humans that actually knew of our existence in your human state. So familiars are a bit interesting because you don't find us, we find you. And I found you as one of my patients. Of course you don't remember, but I've actually been treating you for years now. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but you sadly had cancer. And I was your nurse. Yes, we grew very close, as you can imagine. You see, although it's not illegal, for lack of a better term, to turn someone into a vampire, it is frowned upon. As ironic as it sounds, we don't want there to be any more vampires in the world. Like I said, it's a disease. However, because I tend to live my vampiric life from an ethical standpoint, I always try to use my abilities for good. And when I met you, and I saw that you were terminally ill, my heart broke. And although I knew that I would essentially be swapping out one disease for another, I knew that you had a better quality of life had I turned you, instead of watching you wither away. But, of course, I asked. And although it took some convincing to make you believe that vampires are indeed real, you did eventually agree. And you consented to it, which is important. I would not have done this otherwise. Please know that. So, you were my familiar for quite some time. I told you stories. A lot of information that I'm repeating now, but of course you don't remember. Basically just preparing you for what to expect when that fateful day would come. So, last week, when we ran our labs, you took a turn for the worst very quickly. So, I knew it was time, and I turned you. And look at you. You're much better. In a different way. for better. At least you'll have a life to live now. How do you feel? A bit strange. It's to be expected. Your body's going to feel different. It's going to feel foreign, new, and you're going to have to learn things all over again when it comes to reading your body, knowing how it functions and how it works. You don't have to keep up with the maintenance like you once used to being human. It's actually very low maintenance being a vampire. It's the perks of being undead. I think the most high maintenance thing is drinking, feeding, finding your next meal, so to speak. But where there's a will, there's a way. And you've got me by your side to help you through it. Well, I think I've pretty much gotten you all caught up. Now I'd like to formally apologize because I know that I can't deliver a more exciting existence, but this is the reality of being a vampire. It's not all that it seems that Hollywood depicts. It's actually very real and very scientific. But it's still a life to live. I don't quite know what the appeal is to people when they find out about vampirism and wanting to be turned into a vampire, really. There's no benefits if you think about it. And the only benefit that I can think of is a situation like yours. You were very sick and terminally ill. If you wanted more life, it makes sense to be turned. Myself, well, my story's a bit more sad. I didn't have a choice. I wasn't ill. I was just a regular person. I was actually going home one night after work and it was late. I ran into a group of really sketchy looking people, minded my own business, and walked right past them and thought it was fine. Then one of the men from the group called out to me. At first I thought they were going to ask for money or something, and I ignored them. But I noticed that they kept calling after me, and when I looked back, I noticed that they had started to sprint towards me. And naturally, I freaked out and I started running. Next thing I know, I'm being tackled to the floor. And then that's where the memory stops. The only reason I know all this is because it randomly came to me one day. Well, after doing more digging, I found out that they were a group of rogue vampires who did not live as ethically as I do. And they were callously murdering people for the sake of feeding. And their intentions were to kill me that night. But I guess they left me thinking I was dead when I wasn't. So I ended up transitioning. I didn't want this life, but I'm living it. And that's why I vowed to myself to only do good and do right by people like yourself. People who are stuck and who have no other options. Then I can help. But that's my sob story. Well, enough of that. You need to get some rest. Your body's working overtime right now with the physiological changes that it's undergoing, and your brain is going to take quite a bit of time to get caught up. So between the physical and mental exhaustion, you're going to be spent. So you're going to need as much rest as you can. Sleep? Of course you can sleep, darling. Oh my goodness, yes, no, yes, we can sleep. That's another myth. I mean, I myself tend to be a bit restless at night, but no, I get some good rest. You can sleep. It's actually very imperative that you do sleep. Ironically enough, being a vampire, you do sleep more than the average person. Again, our bodies are diseased, so it takes a little bit more rest to keep the energy flowing through the day. Especially since, if you're like me, which you most likely are going to be, you're not feeding anywhere near as often or as much as you should. So you already have a low energy bar as is. But yes, you can sleep. You'll be just fine. So just rest up, alright? I'll be here to take care of you if you wake up and you need anything. If you get a bit hungry or thirsty, just let me know. I can give you another sip or two. And we'll gauge as we go. Okay? Lovely. Alright now. Time has come for you to rest up. Don't mind me. I'll just be plotting you with a nice cold compress to help with the slight fever. So just close your eyes and drift off to sleep. And just relax. Enjoy your rest, darling. And welcome to Club Vampire.